Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It is Tuesday afternoon here in the Eastern Time Zone of the USA. It is 17:16 Zulu on July 25th, 2023. And we have a great show today. We have two really special guests. We have Grace, KE8RJU, and Carole, WB2MGP. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Doing good, Tim. How about yourself?
Doing good. Doing good. Carole, look at what here's the future right here. And you have done it, Carole. This is so good. Carole, tell us about what the youth in amateur radio has meant to you and all the work that you have done.
Oh, well, first of all, you are my favorite interviewer for so many decades that we have shared our mutual passion about youth and amateur radio. Initially, when I was teaching at a middle school in Staten Island, the course that I taught was Introduction to Amateur Radio to 950 students a term, and it wound up being a 30-year career doing that. And at that point, Tim, my main perspective was as an educator, how introducing the radio in the classroom would enhance the educational and motivational experience in the classroom. And since then, in retirement, whatever that means, doing all the youth forums and going and visiting schools and STEM programs across the country, the perspective has now changed to the total value to each of the individual youngsters that I work with and the value to them personally and then eventually professionally.
Well, it is just incredible the number of youth you have touched over the years, and all of the years at the Hamvention and all the youth forum there. Grace, what does ham radio mean to you, Grace?
Well, amateur radio means to me a lot of different things. It's learning, technical aspects of the hobby, all the community, all the great friends you learn, and then the challenge that it brings to chasing awards and showing others our passion.
But Grace, you have a ham radio family. Tell us about your family.
Yeah, I'm a third generation amateur radio operator. My grandpa, John, K8YSC, and then my dad, KDP, and my grandma and my mom, K8CLP, are also licensed.
And so, Grace, how do you know Carole? I mean, she's an icon.
I know. Carole's the best. I reached out to Carole in interest about presenting at Dayton, and since then we've hit it off and we've had a blast.
And so tell us about your education and where college, what's going on, Grace?
Yeah, currently I'm going to be going into my senior year of high school. Still deciding what college, but definitely a STEM field. I'm definitely focused on that.
You know, Carole, how many youth have you inspired to go to college and to get degrees and to go further?
Well, the nice thing, Tim, is that through the RCA Youth Activities Program, as adults, they find me on the internet or however, whenever there's something in the newspaper about the International Space Station or something about an astronaut, they will find me to recall the experience that they had in the classroom. And again, 30 years, 950 kids a term, a year, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and then 34 years of doing the youth forum and other national radio forums.
And a lot of the youth stay in touch with you, Carole, right?
Yes, they do. They find me. And the best was Staten Island being a small town USA. I was pulled over by a police officer one day on the service road, doing nothing wrong, of course, and rolled down the window and said, "What seems to be the problem, officer?" And he said, Nothing, Miss Perry. I just spotted your license plate and I was in your 6th grade radio class. And I said, well, why did you just make that crazy U-turn? He says, you cannot yell at me now.
But so Grace, tell us about some of your, I mean, I know you are a champion on the satellites. Tell us about that.
Yeah, my main focus, as everyone has their own specific part of the hobby, I focus on amateur radio satellites, contacting as many grid scores as possible. And a new satellite, Green Cube, also known as IL-117, is in medium Earth orbit. So I'm being able to expand my reach of stations into Japan and even farther into Europe with that new satellite, which I'm having a blast with.
Yeah, that is so super. And I know that Carole gets a big charge out of all the different facets of the hobby. But Carole, you've got to tell us about going through TSA, coming home from the Dayton Ham Bench. Carole, you know, that is a great story and it's true. And I want you to tell it.
I will tell it. And I also want to point out that Grace was at the Youth Forum one year in Dayton, Ohio, and sent me a beautiful follow-up about her experience and being inspired by the other children she saw. And that's how I got to invite her, by the way, to the next year's Youth Forum. So exposing youngsters is a big facet as well. Now, TSA, coming back from one of the youth forums at the Dayton International Airport, I'm standing online, all hams, of course, online, and I have pre-approval. I'm wearing a jacket that was presented to me with my name and call letters on it. And I get to the agent and he's looking at my jacket and he's looking at my ticket and he's looking at me and saying, well, I cannot give you pre-approval today. You're going to have to stand on the regular line. And I said, well, excuse me, may I ask you why? And then I thought maybe it's because it said Perry, which is my name in amateur radio. My married name is Parker. I said, oh no, it's probably a Parker Perry's problem again. And he said, well, he said, you are a female. And I know that females do not get involved with technology and radio. At which what do you say to that? At which point the radio operators behind me all said, we'll vouch for her. She is who she says she is. And P.S., he did relinquish reluctantly, but he did allow me to go through TSA.
Yeah, females are not radio operators.
They don't do this, no.
No, they don't do it. And
he knows it. He knows it.
You've been doing it longer and better than most. And here's Grace, and we have 3 other YL operators that will be part of the Youth DX adventure this weekend. And Grace, you'll be here, right here at K3LR. What do you think about that, Grace?
Well, I'm really excited. I've heard a lot about your station, and I'm excited to hear the pileups that we will most likely get and just meet other youth and have a good time with the fellow youth.
You know, and Grace, you've got a great call sign, Whiskey 3 Yankee, which is going to be phenomenal. And we can't wait to, you know, DX Engineering is all in on this, and all of the people that are pulling for you. And you know, Carole, what kind of advice can you give to Grace, you know, as a young operator? She's going into her senior year in high school. Carole, what kind of advice can you give her?
Well, first of all, Tim, if you had asked me as a homework assignment to handpick a group for you for the 29th, this is the group I would have picked for you. I know them all and they're fabulous. Grace, my advice to you as a female and as a young person, never let anybody else deter you from following your passion, whatever it may be. Don't just follow your dreams, run after them. And and don't let anybody else tell you what you can or cannot do.
One of the great things in the chat room is John, N4JTK, and John is one of the greatest guys down at Hamcation. And Carole, there is an award that is named for you.
Well, actually, there are two. There's the Carole Perry Educator of the Year Award out of Hamcation in Orlando. And now there's the RCA Carole Perry Young Professional Award. And Ray Novak from ICOM, after that award was announced, said to me, 2 legacy awards and you're still alive.
Well, and you're going to be alive for a long time.
I hope so.
Grace and Carole, thanks so much for coming on today. It's been, like I said, Carole, every time I get on with you, I cry. So,
oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I know.
This is happy times, and we'll send you lots of photos, and from Grace and the rest of the kids that'll be here this weekend.
Oh,
so,
have a blast, all of you. It's going to be fabulous.
We're going to have a great time. And watch for and listen for Whiskey 3 Yankee starting at 12 Zulu this Saturday morning. And Grace, we're looking forward to seeing you and your dad, and it's going to be great. And Carole, thanks so much for coming on today.
My pleasure always, Tim. Love you. Love you both.
Okay. Love you. And 73 from DX Engineering. We'll see you next time.